TIFU not admitting I like the new farmer girl. Live in a small town in the valley, where a farmer moved in a few seasons ago. I don't have many friends, but surprisingly I made friends with the new farmer girl fast, especially since she knew one of my favorite things, which are sunflowers. The thing is, I started to have some feelings for the farmer. I never thought I would have these types of feelings for girls and that I'm strictly into men, like my friend, A. That's where I messed up today. I try my best to bury down any feelings I had for the farmer girl. Act like they're not there, high chance that she wouldn't feel the same, and it's not like I'm into girls, right? But today I went to the saloon with A and the farmer. She ended up getting a bit tipsy and she ended up confessing to me in front of A. I was shocked and scared. A didn't know I had these feelings, and I'm guessing from how confused he was, he didn't know about the farmer's feelings either. I just awkwardly forced out that I didn't like girls, that I like men not women. The farmer just said, "Oh, have a good night then, A, make sure H gets home safely." Now I've been avoiding her, but she still comes to talk every day. I don't know how I can face her after lying to her face. All I can think of is the life me and her could have together, but I'm too much of a coward to speak to her now. Reddit, what should I do? TIFU not admitting I like the new farmer girl, update. It's been a while since my first post, and thank you all for your support. I think you deserve an update. Where my last post left off with my not being able to face my friend and crush after I lied to her about my feelings. I have done a lot of thinking. The more I think, the more I want to be with her. I took a lot of your guys' advice, and know if I want to do this right, then I can't be a coward anymore and face her. Getting to talk to her wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it also took a lot of courage from me. We haven't talked about that night. To be honest, the farmer just pretends like nothing happened, but I sent the farmer a letter, asking her to join me at the beach. My heart was beating out of my chest when I saw her waiting for me there the next day. Sunset fills the sky in a golden-orange ombre. I saw her standing by the docks, looking out into the sea. She didn't hear me walking up behind her. I didn't want to freeze up and have things turn sour, so I did the only thing I could think of, which was to yell out my feelings. And "I love you," echoing against the sea waves. I saw her turn around slowly, meeting our eyes together, before she ran over to me, picking me up into her strong arms and spun me around before taking a step back. I swear it was like a scene in a movie. No other words needed to be said, just look deeply in each other's eyes. I felt so safe in her arms. I didn't want that moment to end. We both ended up going back to hers after celebrating at the saloon, spending the night safe and loved in her arms. Thank you, Reddit, for helping me get over being a coward. I couldn't be happier. I found my soulmate.
aita for divorcing my wife and sacrificing my children. For convenience, I'll call my wife H. The story starts when I moved to this nice farm in a place called Pelican Town, and I immediately took a liking to H, although I didn't know her name quite yet. I talked to her and built a relationship with her over a couple of years, making sure to never give her colorful rocks. We eventually got married and a while later had 2 beautiful children, but I felt something was off. My relationship wasn't really giving me the spark anymore, and that feeling lingered for a while before I made a big decision. I filed for divorce, and the next day she was gone. I felt free, like I could be myself again, but the issue is that the children were still there, haunting my existence. I actually had a solution to this problem using one of those colorful rocks I mentioned earlier. I went to a witch's hut, erased my ex's memory of me, and turned my children into doves. Ever since, my children have been showing up in odd places, like in my TV and in the witch's hut where I sentenced them to hell. I consulted a friend and they thought that what I did wasn't right, and we had a huge argument. And now I'm asking you, Reddit, AITA?
TIFU by drinking alcohol at a party. Have been sober and on the correct path for the last 6 months ever since I met my now wife, the farmer girl. Today was the luau held on the island of Ginger. The beach setting and the music was an amazing vibe, and I was starting to feel myself slipping back into my old ways. Everyone in town was aware of my past problem, and they've all been extremely supportive of my new lifestyle. Today was different as a local bartender, let's call him G, had brought beers to the luau. I started to think how long it's been since I had, and without thinking, grabbed a can and cracked it open. I didn't notice that people around me were staring at me till I took my first chug of the beer. I feel extremely guilty about it as people asked what I was doing. I immediately dumped the rest of it on the ground. My wife was extremely proud of me for stopping to begin with, and I feel like I just let her down in a big way. Is it okay to feel this way, Reddit?
AITA for filling my house with wine when I live with a recovering alcoholic? I 23F just married a guy 30M who we'll call S. It took me a while to grow close to him, but after sharing a beer with him last year we became best friends as well as loyal partners. I've been there for him during his worst moments, including his battle with depression. In turn, he's shown me a truly vulnerable side of himself and let me into his life and interests. I'm really proud of him for bettering himself on his own accord. He stopped drinking for a while and now only drinks on occasion, though sometimes I admit I doubt his ability to drink in moderation. Last week we tied the knot and we decided he should move in with me, out of his aunt's house. However, I didn't mention that my primary source of income is making an aging ancient fruit wine, and since space is short and I don't have money for a shed, I've been storing kegs in my house. Unfortunately, I don't think this has been a good move for us ever since he moved in. He's been sloppy and cold, sleeping all day and telling me his life feels like a slow gray blur. He says he's lost weight since we moved in together, and though he says it as though it's a positive thing, I'm concerned. He asked for his own room, which I obliged of course, but it's become filthy and he's started to store beer in there. Is it possible that lining our halls and rooms with barrels of wine is triggering a relapse? AITA?
AITA for foraging near a homeless camp? So there's a homeless guy who lives pretty close to my farm. Let's call him L. I've spoken to him a few times, and even brought him food, but I know he's very into making his own way and living off the land. Usually I don't forage near his tent. I have a farm and can grow my own crops after all. But this spring, a friend of mine asked me to pick a dozen wild leeks for her husband. He's wheelchair-bound, and they're his favorite thing in the world. I promised her that I would. The thing is, they are very hard to find. I'm lucky to find a dozen the whole season. So the other day, I was walking past the guy's tent and spotted one. He was outside. I said, "Hey," and picked it right from under his nose. I feel like a huge AH now. What would you have done? AITA.
AITA for flirting with the new handsome farmer. I, R, am married to D, and I have one kid with him, M. While I also have a kid from a previous marriage, S. The farmer is around my kid's age who just moved into his late grandpa's farm. And because I'm a carpenter, the farmer comes to me a lot asking to build coops and barns for him. So naturally over time I would start talking to him more and getting more close with him. Recently my husband has noticed this behavior coming from the farmer, saying how the farmer is always in a good mood to talk to me, giving me compliments and even gifting me things. I told him that the farmer was just being nice, but my husband was not convinced. He told me that the farmer and I were flirting with each other and that I need to end the relationship the farmer and I have. But the farmer treats me well and I don't think he is flirting with me. Even if he was, it kind of feels nice to be appreciated for all my hard work. So AITA?
Today, I divorced my husband. I, R, have just served my soon-to-be ex-husband, D, divorce papers, and since he makes more money than me, he'll be the one paying for the divorce too. After my last post, I really got to thinking about my husband, my family, and my feelings. Mainly realizing that I honestly deserve better, my marriage wasn't the best, and spending my time with the farmer has made me see that. The farmer was always kind, gave me gifts, made me feel loved, and with thinking about my feelings, I realized that I had romantic feelings for the farmer. I guess my soon-to-be ex was right about the farmer and I. But it's time I put my feelings into action and divorce my husband. I know it's for the best. Thank you for all the support everyone left me on my last post. I may make a part 2, I'll confess my feelings for the farmer and tell you guys how it goes.
AITA for marrying the handsome farmer. This will be my third and final update. I first want to thank you guys for all the support you have given me. It's been a while since I gave an update, but I'll be happy to tell you that on my way for my third marriage. I confessed my love to the farmer, and at first he apologized because he didn't want to break off my marriage, but confessed that he had feelings for me too. Our relationship started after that night. It was a bit awkward telling my kids, as I had just divorced my daughter's father and that my son could have a new stepdad, but they were more open to it than I thought they would be. Life is looking up right now and I couldn't be happier. Edit, our wedding will be on summer 19th, I can't wait for it.
AITA for going yandere and making a scene for my wife. I, S, have recently gotten married to my lovely wife, who is a farmer. I wouldn't say I was the jealous type, or say I was controlling in any way, but something happened at the flower dance festival that I couldn't ignore. A guy let's call A was talking to my wife. Usually there was nothing wrong about it, as my wife has many friends in the valley, but something just wasn't sitting right with me. So I went over to ask my wife to dance when I started to overhear A flirting with my wife, saying something about how he was enjoying the view or something. I just started seeing red. I wanted to punch him, but before I could, my wife stepped in and stopped me. So I pulled him close by his shirt and whispered in his ear to stay the hell away from my wife, and to never speak to her again. I was furious at A, but when I snapped out of it, I looked around to see my wife upset and everyone looking at us, and I just excused myself and my wife, taking her to see our friends. After a heated night, my wife was telling me that I shouldn't have made a scene and went yandere mode from A, talking to her, and that he wasn't flirting with her. I could disagree, but since she wasn't upset I thought I would just let it pass, but after thinking about it some more I can't help but ask AITA,